please see the link in this episode's description for a trailer for an element of pugilism. And there is a Z-Fest like contest going on, so do with that as you will. I'm a libertarian. I want you to choose what you want to choose.
No, I mean, don't you want people to like us? That's the whole point of it.
I want people to like us for us, not because they feel like...
Because we told them to?
Yeah, we're informing them.
Sure.
And then they can make their own decision.
Well, please click the link and click like.
Thank you.
You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. Not too easy one-handed, is it? I saw you struggle there. Welcome to Movie Betters with the Farx Brothers. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're here with Andrew Macht, dialogue editor. We're going to try to debate the Oscars sound nominees.
But Andrew is about to tell us something that pissed off everyone in the sound community. Could you, because we just did the interview section, but everyone's going to hear that after these two episodes we're about to record. I know. I love explaining the show while people are on the show. Could you explain the guilds you're in and then the thing you were just talking about?
Yeah. So I'm only in one specific guild, but I do vote in the academies as well as the Golden Reels for the MIPSI, Motion Picture Sound Editors Guild. Mm-hmm. So I'm represented in that guild currently. But yeah, I got recommended to be a part of the academy and vote here and there as a blue ribbon panelist.
Wait, what's that mean, a blue ribbon panelist?
It's just their way of saying you're a special voter.
Oh.
Hell yeah. Name, yeah.
You get to watch movies, really. I'm going to circle back to that. But what's the thing that pisses everyone off in the sound community?
So they made a change to the award nominees for best sound and stuff like that. So it used to be sound editing and sound mixing. They slapped that together.
That was like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, and it really upset everyone to the point where a lot of members were quitting.
Okay. Wow. What's the difference to the neophyte out there who doesn't understand mixing versus editing?
Editing is the functionality that I mentioned kind of earlier in the podcast, is cut, copy, and paste. That is literally the basic elements of editing. Mixing, you're writing your volume and processing those audio signals after the fact that everything is cut together. Now, calling those two people the same thing is where these professionals got very upset, and myself too. It comes very, degrading a little bit, saying that we're not as important, but they can break out, video teams farther out to all the different elements. They have video, coloring, and editing, and all these other elements part of the nominations.
They don't have a color nominee in the Oscars, or is that in the technical Oscars beforehand?
No. It's not exactly that. I'm trying to remember the name of the title for that award, but
there's a cinematography award in the Oscars,
and then there's a editing one as well in there, and then but that's kind of it. They got more focus on the video editing side and just narrowing down what the awards are for the sound team. That's why people got upset. It's less recognition for sound, for people's individual contribution to the overall film. Now we're just talking about best sound and best score, and that's what people are getting upset over about that. So a lot of people are going to quit the academy over this because it was just they felt that it was degrading and making their achievements less appreciated.
And this is a bait show, so what's this Steelman the other side? Why did the Academy Awards do this?
No one knows. To
make the award show shorter, right? Because people can't stand how long it is.
The original was to make it shorter because they thought it was too long and they wanted to put in more commercials.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I remember that being the reporting around.
Yeah, that was the reason they wanted to throw more sponsors pretty much involved into the damn thing, and people got upset with that. And sorry for the crack noise.
I was just about to say something, but you're good. So do they want to turn it like a Super Bowl where the commercials are the main draw of the Super Bowl? I mean, nobody's really watching it for the game, right?
It wasn't for any of that. The main part of it was for making the show shorter. The Television Society decided, hey, this is too long of a runtime to represent all these people. They want to just trim all that up and make it down to, was it now, an hour and a half or something like that?
Oh God, no! It's gonna run 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
We're recording, and as people realize, because this is coming out after the Academy Awards, we're recording it before the Academy Awards. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Are you gonna date every
Yes.
episode? Yeah.
I was about to say like it's our mother, because I was gonna say your mother. Then it's like because we're Farx. But do you watch the Oscars? I don't.
I don't watch many of the award ceremonies. For the Golden Reels, no, I haven't been out there. But mainly I want to get out there just to literally mingle with everybody. One of my best friends is going to be out there at the Oscars, actually working the Oscars. So he'll be out there serving literally everybody that's part of the Academy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, is a sound person or?
No, he's actually at the rooms for all the stars that are actually going to be showing on screen. So
Oh, he's like a concierge or something like this?
essentially, yeah, he caters the rooms and all that stuff. So he is a sound guy, but
There's good money in what you've just described, I imagine.
exactly
Big tips.
that's why he's in it, for the money on that one. But it's funny.
You caught me here with my mistress. Here's $1,000. Don't
No,
say
they
anything.
pay well. And I've been out there at the Academy. I was in California over the summer. That was pretty fun.
Do you mean the museum, the Academy's museum? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. I was out over there hanging out, and as well as a few other locations and studios out that way.
Does your work bring you out there often? Because you do your work mostly remotely, right?
Because I am an established business, it's all write-offs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yep.
Well, yes. I mean, I guess I do the same
But
thing when I
yeah,
travel.
my business, pays for itself.
When you go to if you were to go to an award show, do you think you'd be able to find more jobs that way?
Yeah, I've gotten work from being at certain award shows. I just haven't been at those specific ones. But luckily, because I'm part of a great community, which you guys could join if you want, how I actually learned about all these other people in Hollywood and got a part of the guild. So it's one person I didn't mention, that how I got into the Motion Picture Sound Editors Guild, is John Resch. He is the lead Foley artist over at Skywalker Sound. He also wrote a pretty big letter of recommendation for me to join the guild.
You've got all these people writing letters. As people will find out in your interview segment, you had somebody else who worked on Star Wars write you a 16-page letter, and you've got John Resch now. How many pages was his letter?
His was 2.5 or 3.5 or something like that.
Okay, so there's like some can be very long and others can be.
They actually only needed to write a single paragraph.
Oh, okay, sweet.
But they went the extra mile and wanted to really sell me, I guess, which I appreciate. It's the reason Vicky had more to say about me is I exclusively worked with her on quite a few projects of hers that she was acquiring. So she is more familiar with my work than John was. But John knew who I was, and I talked to him on a daily. Yeah, I've actually, while I was out in California, met him and went around town. My wife cooked dinner. We went to his house, and Andrea, my wife, cooked dinner for his wife and him.
This is what you make your wife do when you travel, is you
She's an amazing cook.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
He learned
I
once.
had some scones.
But yeah, scones. She makes more than that. You definitely need to check out Andrea's Cozy Bites. There we go. I'm selling it on the podcast.
Wait, is that a location?
Currently, it's out of our house.
Okay.
She has every utensil and appliance that you could think of, from deep frying to.
Is she a caterer? Is that what I'm understanding?
She was going to freelance it for quite a while, segueing off the academies.
Our show is all about tangents. So
Well, it's about baits.
Sure.
The baits vary. Sometimes they're debates, sometimes they're the masters of.
Yeah, but segueing away from all that, she was going to do that. She got furloughed from Wells Fargo, but she got an amazing severance package that allowed her to not work for a year.
Oh, wow. Way to go, Wells Fargo.
That was good for her, yeah. But she was pretty much a senior person over there.
Oh, okay.
Dealing essentially with appraisals. I keep on forgetting her title, but she deals with home mortgage.
Oh, dude, you got to remember your wife's title.
When
When I've learned to do this for my, I don't say it on the show, but I've heard of people working in the Wells Fargo mortgage department completely outside of all these things, but you know.
Yeah, she worked at the location that was right off of 94 that you see with the big Wells Fargo sign.
Yeah.
She was there for quite a while, and she worked there and served a lot of years there. And then they let her go because of, you know, everything that's going down with Wells Fargo, the problems and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then COVID. It sucked because we didn't know what we were going to do, but they let her go with an amazing severance package as full pay and benefits for that entire year.
That's cool. And you work 2 jobs essentially from everything I've heard in the interview segment.
Yeah, I work 2 jobs, and you know, it does destroy me, but I survive it.
Sure.
And I got a house, kids, had a dog that got amputated recently.
You got your dog. Sorry, this is
Random one, but
no, wait. Which appendage did you? What kind of dog? What breed? What's the dog's name? I need to know all.
yeah,
things.
I actually helped deliver my dog into the world.
Wow.
So my previous family dog gave birth to a single pup at age 10, which most dogs that can kill them.
Yeah, 70 years old.
10. She was 10 when she gave
in
birth.
dog. Wait. Oh, how do you do it? Like you do 7 times. with the-
7 times for small dogs. That's 7.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 times 10. So she
Dang,
gave birth
man.
at 70 years old. Essentially,
This was a small dog.
our family dog was a poodle sheltie mix.
Oh, okay.
But fairly small, you know. Yes, no one can see my hands moving, but
I estimated that to be about 20 pounds of dog. You held
yeah,
up
she was about 20 pounds.
I know dogs, Kirk.
But she got
Brag
really
about it.
blind at the end. She died peacefully, which was amazing. She had stomach cancer, which finally caught up to her. But one day she was still, even though completely blind, was eating, drinking, and everything, and just doing her thing. Just couldn't see. Finally, just laid down on the floor and just passed away.
How long was this after giving birth at age 70 in dog years?
She made it to 16 with stomach
Jeez.
cancer. Yeah, 6 years with
Wow.
diagnosed cancer.
Oh, wow.
So made it to literally full life.
So that means your dog is over 6 years old. That just had a limb amputated.
My dog is now, this is because I didn't say when he was born.
Yeah.
He was born in 2009. So he is also very old now, on his last leg. So he got amputated last leg, huh?
Yeah.
But he got amputated in September because he got diagnosed with cancer.
Leg cancer?
Huh?
What kind of cancer?
Lymphoma. So you have lymph nodes all over your body.
Oh.
So dogs are pretty much like people.
see it that
They
way.
still have a lot of the same biological features that people do. They still, you know, feel and go through emotions like most people do, just they can't communicate and stuff like that. I'm an animal lover. Yeah, one of his lymph nodes ended up at his armpit where his leg was, ended up growing so big, it was the size of a softball,
God.
that it ruptured.
Oh, okay.
And I had to help preserve him and keep him alive on my own. I actually did a surgical procedure myself on him.
Okay.
Okay, what was that?
So I actually had to remove part of the flesh that was starting to rot as it ruptured.
Oh, God.
So I carved that away, and
What kind of knife did you use?
luckily, you know, from all my sound work, I had extra utensils. Plus, my kids had medical issues, so I have a lot of medical bandages and stuff like that, and tools.
Okay, but did you have like a scalpel to cut your dog with?
Yeah. I had all that stuff, and I've done this stuff before, so that's not the first time. I have a medical background a little bit too.
Okay.
I'm completely licensed for CPR and all that stuff, completely trained and everything.
Kirk, choke on something, please.
Yeah.
It's scary. One of the things for CPR, they tell you not to hold back, especially on children, like to the point where, doing CPR correctly, you can crack a rib on a person and really injure them. But it's life-saving measures, though. You know, like, hey, if they're choking, you got to get that out of there, and their airway cleared. But yeah, I'm definitely certified in that too. So I got a bunch of certifications. But anyways, it's just because we're talking about the dog. The cancer, the tumor ruptured, and I had to cut away the tissue because it started actually hanging. It's very gross, but started hanging and peeling away from his body because it was just rotting in real time because the cancer was taking over and actively killing cells.
Damn.
And pretty much his primary vets had put him down. I was like, I literally brought this dog into my world. You don't go to grandma and say, put grandma down because she's old. We can look into this farther. I know this is not the end all be all for him. There has to be more to this world. And so I decided to take it into my own measures. There's an amazing place over in Brooklyn Park, the Alliance Pet Hospital, where it's like a human hospital but for pets. It's amazing when you walk in there. It's crazy how this is built. It's like literally looks like people should be going here, but it's all for animals.
Okay.
And they got the operating tables, like the works in this place. It's crazy. I said, screw my primary doctor. I want you guys to work on him. I bypassed my primary and said, you guys are now going to work on my dog. And luckily the surgeon there saw life in him that I saw that my primary wasn't seeing. They're like, oh, he's old, put him down. It's the end for him. But the pet hospital that we went to, the surgeon looked at him and said, this dog can make it another year or even more if we operate.
Right.
So it led into, essentially, not to extend this conversation any longer on my dog.
No, it's fascinating.
It was heart-wrenching, a lot of it, because they gave him a 50% chance of live or die on the operating table. I thought the next morning I was going to wake up and lose my dog at that moment. But no, they called and said he made it all the way through the night and completely recovered, and the surgery went 100% well. He came home completely drugged out of his mind, so he wasn't moving too much for, a good 4 weeks after, amputation.
Right.
Just like people, the phantom limb thing is a real thing even for animals. They feel that just as much as we do. So, he's trying to move that limb that's not there. You can literally see the muscle tissue trying to circle around as he's trying to freak out, not knowing what's going on yet. But yeah, he's now old and alive and with us these days. So yeah, he's doing well. I started a fundraiser that I needed to push out even farther, but I got really busy because of the feature that I was a part of.
Sure.
But I started a fundraiser, GoFundMe for it, because the overall vet costs were $8,000. But I was, slashing pretty much all my sound prices normally from what I normally charge down to more reasonable for, indie filmmakers, because I just needed to get money flowing for this, because it's a big expense to take on. Because my kids generated $107,000 in medical debt.
Jeez.
See, you're making me segue into like a complete medical discussion, but
do you watch movies with your kids and your dog? That's the thing that comes to mind here. I don't want to stop you on the path you're going, but
yeah, no, we can circle back to movies. My daughter was in the hospital for 2 months when she was born. She had a condition called Stickler syndrome that I actually have, which I didn't know until she was born.
Oh yeah.
Which is another conversation that we could segue into that leads to
what's Stickler syndrome? That's the first question I'd have. I've never heard of that. I'm sorry.
It's a condition that it's a mutation essentially to your DNA, your genes.
Sure.
Where it affects muscle growth, bone degradation, retina detachment, hearing loss, vision loss.
You work in sound though.
And
I'm just saying.
No, really.
Like, whoa, what the hell?
But I wasn't as impacted as my daughter was.
Okay.
I got the vision pretty bad, so we now know why I'm so blind. So I'm actually technically classified legally blind in my right eye. So, I wear glasses and all that. So my right lens is thicker. Shades.
He's showing me the lens. It is thicker.
This is way thicker, but this is the farthest they can put a lens at. My prescription is like negative 486 or something like that. It's wow. Yeah, I'm pretty much gone. But, as I age, Stickler syndrome stays with me, and the mutation could spread worse or whatever could happen with it. There's not really a cure for it, and I could eventually, all my muscle just completely disintegrate, essentially.
You look fine. Just
I look fine right now. But, it can happen. My daughter, unfortunately, got the worst end of it coming out of the womb. Her jaw was halfway recessed in her mouth. And
Whoa.
Her tongue was the main thing. Is we only were able to hold her for about 20 minutes after birth. We didn't know anything what was going on. No one told us anything in the hospital room. And not to segue in this, but that was a pretty traumatic moment when you have 20 doctors that rush you in the hospital room and none of them are telling you anything.
Sure.
And then they took her, literally just grabbed her and took her and rushed her out of the room. And then finally one of the nurses came in and said, we had to take her because blah, 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 she's choking.
Sure.
And then later, the ENT team comes into our hospital room because they were part of that 20-person crew. They said they had to operate on her and separate her lower jaw out and do what's called the jaw extraction surgery. And that was the first surgery at 2 weeks old for her. She had 7 surgeries in her first year.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty rough at the beginning, especially because it all happened during COVID. So if you could imagine the rules and regulation behind that.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you said you have a 5-year-old. I have a 5-year-old, so I was thinking, 2020.
So
Okay.
all this happened between 2019 to 2020, the beginning of COVID.
Oh, man, I am sorry that you went through that.
Yeah, it was really rough and very frustrating in lots of ways. A lot of things were said in that hospital room. But anyways, like I said, we're segueing away completely off topic about all these medical problems that I got to deal with. But yeah, anyways, to circle back into the sound, I did a GoFundMe thing for my business for offering services at a lower cost to gain more traction about getting more money for the GoFundMe page that I started. It's helping the community, plus it's helping myself be able to pay off these medical debts. I'm still actively paying that debt off, if anyone's wondering. Very expensive little thing that we're doing for that $8,000 of debt that we just gathered for my dog to, make it, another year if that. He is actually almost literally from that. So surgery happening on September 12th. So we're adding up that timeline right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, September 12th, 2024 is when he went into operation.
Okay, so it's been like 6 months. I'm just doing math in my head. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Got a terrible transition?
Yeah.
My 5-year-old watched Wicked. Did your 5-year-old watch Wicked?
Go away from medical. No, we have not watched Wicked at all yet.
So you don't watch the movies you get early with your family? Are you allowed to? Would you? Can you say?
Oh, yeah. I can say all that. Yeah, we watch them together as a family.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. It's just, no, I haven't watched Wicked at all. Like Kirk over here doesn't like musicals so much.
I don't, but I watched it for this debate. I did my homework.
Yeah. But I know what Wicked is, and
wait, you didn't have to vote on that for Golden Reels?
I did. I had to vote for Wicked as well as the Academy. They're both part of my thing. That was the one film, I will admit, I did not get to watching.
Oh, no.
But the reason I have excuses because I was actively working on a feature. So is... this feature literally sucked the life out of me over the last year. It's literally the hardest project that I've probably worked on.
Can you say what it is? Or
at this point, because it's now out of my hands, which I could go on a rant about that one because they just contacted me last night to hop back on the project.
Hey, time is money, right? They got to pay you more, right? Is that how that works? Or?
Made $20,000 off that.
Oh, you don't have to tell us numbers, but I'm fascinated when people do.
Well, the reason I'm telling you numbers on that is for a particular reason based on how this shindig went down.
Okay.
It's
fascinating.
Yeah.
Sounds juicy.
Honestly, fuck the Oscar numbers. I don't give a shit.
Because, the Oscars happening and then the Golden Reels happen. Golden Reels happens before the Oscars. So I had to, shuffle my schedule around to be able to sit down and watch this and then deliver sound files to the people that I'm working for.
Right.
And I was the supervising sound editor for the film. It's called A Reservation. You might see that on my IMDb because it is there. But
And you're upcoming, right?
it was because I recently had someone work on my IMDb. It was not in my upcoming. It was actually already listed. But yeah, as the supervising sound editor, so I managed a crew of 6.
Whoa.
So we had a sound effects editor. I was the dialogue editor. Then we had an ADR editor. Vicky Stampson, the person who got me into Motion Picture Sound Editors Guild, I actually hired to bring into this project. We did all the ADR for the film at Anarchy Post in California. And I stationed here the entire time. I did not fly out there any time to go do any of the additional sound work. But we did, there's tools that we have in post sound that allow for remote client support, and we can literally hear in real time performance. Like I can hear someone in the booth from California over to me and have complete picture sync and audio sync.
Oh, nice.
Very fantastic. So I was able to literally do my due diligence and give my respect towards, what the actors were delivering for our ADR sessions.
Anyone people would know that? I know that's a dumb guess.
Like actors?
Yeah.
Famous people? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them. Celebrities, famous people. I don't care. So if you said the name, would people know is the question, I guess.
Some of them were on 90210 or whatever the hell that show
90210?
There we go.
Sweet. Yeah.
And NCIS, so they're a part of that.
Nice.
But I believe they're like background actors or something like that, so I highly doubt it. Yeah.
Okay. Have you worked with them while we're here? And
have worked with those actors?
No. Have you worked with any names that people will go like, oh, because as a dialogue person, you have to work intimately with performers.
Oh yeah. I've
like, did Chris Kattan and you ever interact on?
Yeah, I've worked with him.
Yeah, because I watched the movie. It's on your profile of the Soviet sleep experiment.
Yeah,
I didn't look at my notes to say that. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that. Soviet sleep study. There it is. Soviet sleep study.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was another one that I've worked on. I did post for that. I was the dialogue editor for that one. Luckily, we didn't do any ADR for that. That was actually literally 100% production audio.
Wow.
But they didn't have a budget for going a step farther in that either. They had a budget, just not a budget to have errors.
You were describing the project you're just coming off of where you're managing 6 people and how you're working in real time with performers who are out in California.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to the question of, who have you possibly interacted with that people, someone off the street might go, oh, because people off the street know who Chris Kattan is,
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with famous people, with Cynthia Johnson from Lip Sync for music. If you know who she is, she did this Funky Town.
Oh, yeah.
I did work with Marilyn Manson and stuff like that.
Sweet.
So I've worked
on
with...
what project, if you don't mind me asking?
It's just a self-recorded album.
So you do music?
Yes, I actually originally started in music. Yes. When I was in IPR, I was heavily in music. It's just when I left IPR, yes, I got big clients like that. I toured with a band called Rocket Club for a bit, doing their in-ear monitor mixes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So traveled. So yeah, I mean, I've worked with some big acts for quite a while. The British Invasion, if you heard of them, they're national, but they're just a cover band, mostly Beatles. But they're a fun band to mix and all that, but I was mixing their stuff quite a bit. At the Bloomington Band Shell here, in fact, is where I was doing a lot of that during their 4th of July celebration.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I was doing music for quite a bit after graduating IPR, but the money wasn't there, and I hated chasing heads to, these people expected the world in music, and they only wanted to pay like $100 to get their full album mixed. Yeah, it's like, I can't make this work tangibly. can't, throw all my time in the world in your project and not get anything out of it on my end. So that led to the transition into the film world, which I already had that experience working with Jeff from my PR. It's just I didn't have any real projects to build my background off of yet. I worked with some of the stuff on Food Network, leaving IPR, so I got, production sound gigs that way. And then from there, started migrating back into post sound as, Z-Fest. Charlie was I think the first Z-Fest project I worked on.
That's the name of the project, or that's the name of...
the name of the film, the short film for Z-Fest,
okay.
yeah. And it won a few nominations and awards during that.
Hell yeah.
No.
I have thoughts
For
about-
sound.
Oh, well, hey, so you won an award is what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, own it. You gotta, if you're gonna work in LA or, on the West Coast, you just own that shit, right?
Yeah, sounds kind
I
of.
fucked up your story. You were saying, hey, I got paid X for this last project, and the way things went down, did you finish your thought there, or did I screw it up?
Well, with A Reservation.
A Reservation.
That's the name of the movie.
Okay.
How does it all start? So Vicki Sampson was the one that introduced me. She rejected the project because it was too bad of a film for her. The movie is really bad. To be fair, I can say that publicly because the director knows I actually really do not like the movie, and I was pretty damn vocal about it when I originally screened it.
If you don't mind, what makes it bad?
No, it's fair. Literally, when I received the project, if you could imagine, every literal detail of filmmaking went wrong.
Yeah,
literally, absolutely everything. Anything you could think of was wrong in the movie. Lighting, costume, set design, art, VFX, sound. It just kept raining in. And I was on the sound side, so I had to clean up their dialogue. They handed me a hard drive that was 86 gigs of just sound. And what they did wrong, just the beginning threshold of what I had to do was open that drive up, look what's in there, figure out what's going on, see what metadata is there and all that. So metadata is your track names. You can see your clip names, the file name, your time code information, all that stuff is part of the file, the metadata. None of that existed. They didn't have anything labeled. They worked with a Zoom H4, and
Isn't that old? Aren't they on like 7 now or something like that?
It's not old. It's just they have different iterations of the hardware. That's what that is.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that product line's been around for quite a while. The H series is what's the product line. We got an F6 over here. That's the F series.
It's an H4 just 4 tracks though?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's 4 tracks, and it's the thing that's big and blocky. That's a giant rectangle of a thing, and it sticks out the XLRs off the side, and the guy wore it around his neck like a noose. Yeah, not a joke. And it was dangling there, so any sort of vibration coming in that he wasn't using a shock mount. He was using a standard mic clip on the boom pole, where you got a shock mount on these things here. He's using a standard clip on the boom pole, and I didn't see pictures or anything of this. This is stuff you can actually hear in the file, and because I'm very familiar with sound and dialogue and all the nuances of problems and whatnot, I can literally hear these things and distinguish them and tell you exactly what they are, and know how they did it and all that stuff, just because I'm so familiar with the different principles of sound. So I can literally tell you what they did, how they did it, how they built their rig and all that stuff, and know exactly what recorder they touched and all that.
And then you like, hey, did you do this? And they're like, yeah, we did.
I don't even do that. I'm pretty 100% concrete on my answers and know exactly how they did it 100% of the time without knowing any difference.
Well, let me ask you this, and just because we're gonna move into spoilers for any of the Oscars. Not what did you vote for, but when you're voting in these categories, you can't tell any by the point you're hearing in a movie. What are you voting on? Because it's all A-level work, right? The 5 nominees, I'll read them. It's Dune. The other one,
Dune Part 2, Wicked, Wild Robot, Complete Unknown,
and Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez, yeah.
I don't know why Wicked honestly is in the sound category.
Whoa.
Not that it's bad. It's just more of a musical. I mean, it's good in the sound category, but I would only feature it in the music section, honestly. It's just, and the other half of where this is unfair is they have an animated film part of something that's live action, now that we're calling it these things these days. Because of what Disney's doing with all the animated stuff. But those live action films, and then you got an animated film. Now, what Golden Reels does is actually separate the animated stuff on its own, because the thing with animation, there is no sound when an animation's created. There is literally nothing. Nothing exists. It's all built. So that's a very unfair advantage where best sound goes. That doesn't mean where my vote went, but the things I'm looking for in best sound is dynamic range. Dynamic range is when you have quiet sounds and loud sounds, and how that fluctuates between each other, so things can breathe and feel very dynamic, all these different elements. So Dune's a good example of that, because there's not a ton of dialogue in that film, but you hear the sands and the desert and then the winds and then the guns or the explosions, but they're all nicely paced and separated out, where we go from the talking points where, you know, our main character is talking very quietly in the tent and delivering the thing. He's just not a vocal guy in the film, right? So, and then you get to the war scenes where they're taking out the
something.
The Harkonnens?
But there's shuttles and all that. I was trying to name that. But yes.
That scene gave me massive anxiety in IMAX.
It's fun. But yeah, that film was mixed really loud, for one, but the dynamic range was incredible. But that's why it blows out your ears. That's dynamic range for you. You're going from quiet, and your ears are adjusting to all these quiet elements, and then all of a sudden, boom, big explosions, and we transition into that really quick. So that's dynamic range, but I look for that as a positive outlook on film, because that is pleasing. But if it's mixed, properly at the right levels and stuff like that, every film has a certain delivery spec. But that film definitely wanted to drive the subs for sure in most theaters. So that's one aspect I look for. Other aspects I'm looking for is that sound design element, like sound effect editing discreetly. Like, how creative are these sounds? How are these built? How much of this sounds in here, and what that shows in the world? So the Wild Robot or Flow are a good example. Flow's not in that category, but the Wild Robot is literally that. It's a good story. The story is very meaningful towards motherhood.
Oh yeah, my wife cried. I told her she would, and then she did.
My wife had a little cliche.
Fair enough.
But my wife's a little more a hard sell.
Love that.
Let's put it that way. But yeah, the Wild Robot had amazing sound from all sorts of different aspects. It's a very unique sci-fi kind of film, and it was beautiful, and the message that came across and stuff like that. So that was really entertaining. Emilia Perez, also more music.
Wasn't great.
They did a lot of that talk singing in there, and
a lot of dialogue.
Let's get more specific in the next segment. Let's end real quick on Complete Unknown thoughts, or
so that's another good one. So Emilia Perez is great on dialogue and all that stuff, which that's another thing that I focus on is literally every word heard, right?
Sure.
Can I make out every word? Is anything covered up here and there? So that's another thing I'm looking for. And then there's different elements to post audio. There's Foley, sound effects, music, all that stuff. So can I hear all the Foley and stuff like that? Now, let's circle back on Foley just to correct you on what that is real quick, since we touched on that a little bit.
Post-sound. Well, shouldn't you not be able to tell the difference between something that was recorded during production and something that's Foley?
Well, any literally video and audio, that stands true. So you really shouldn't be focused on the individual picture cuts. If a picture cut is jarring and stands out to you when it cuts and takes you literally out from the film, that's a bad picture cut. So that's a category for the nominees, and then same deal for sound. If the sound effects or the Foley sounds not part of the creature or the person on set and where they are at in the world, that's bad Foley. Anytime you literally can pinpoint that out and it's very noticeable and you're like, hey, that's a sound, that's a bad thing. You never want someone to call that stuff out. The thing with sound is it's, one, not forgiving when you screw up, and two, no one really focuses and compliments the sound, but that's a good thing because that means you're doing your job. Because if someone starts noticing it, that's when you know you're doing a bad job.
That was a good discussion. Let's hop into spoilers. Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.